Good afternoon. How's everybody doing? Well, it's New Year, I think. Not too sure yet. We'll see how it shapes up. So, in our last video, we talked about AI. And I don't even call it a rabbit hole anymore. It's just what's coming. And whether or not they string together these technologies and become scary and God and everything else remains to be determined. But I always like to plan for the worst and expect the best. And never have expectation on either. So I'm not going to pivot the whole page into redoing the greats. I went to, this is embarrassing, but ego, we all have ego. And thinking that I needed to restate what's already been stated. That, by the way, did you know there's a whole bunch of people that talk about philosophy on the internet? And there's a whole bunch of classes online. So all the digital recordings that I want to do would just be one of many. And so, in looking at it that way, I've decided the priority of it has gone to nil. So we're just going to continue on, keep switching up like we've been doing. However, as you can see from the title of the video, it's now an open forum. And this is good, I think. I want to give you the parameters of the new social experiment, as it were. We've switched it. I've concluded the last social experiment. It was successful. And how much success it gains in the future is totally out of my hands. I have no plan for it whatsoever. Not in advertising nor marketing. So we'll see. But in this, I'm going to share how I think and not about free will. I'm going to start getting into all kinds of random shit. And I'm not going to put it in any of the videos whatsoever. The new parameters is talking points that I'm thinking about or researching, and if there's any interest in holding a dialogue about it. That's all. That's it. And instead of giving you the parameters of where I've been in thought process, I'm now going to open source, as it were, the ideas that I have. Just randomly. And you're going to have to watch these videos to be able to get in the conversation about different things. So we did pivot, but only to make it less rigid. Because I was teaching in the last videos. It was about my personal spin on free will and how I think, feel, and act according to this philosophy. A good philosopher only speaks on things are true. If it's not things he thinks are true, I think I said that wrong the first time. No matter what, how I think is how I talk. And how I talk is how I think. You can't, the correlation, there is no separation. Talking and thinking are the same thing. Talking is the conclusion of thought. So, that being clearly stated, we're going to get into some things I've been thinking about. We're just going to go into it today. What I want to talk about is the world seems to be full of, and tell me if I'm wrong here. I want you guys need to chime in on this. Let me know what's going on. But what's the deal with everybody telling us how to think? You can say, well, didn't you just make a whole bunch of videos? No, listen. I presented an idea on how I think. and asked you to dissect it and tear it apart and do whatever you'd like to it. Because you haven't isn't a me problem, but it's there to dissect. But it's the, oh, I'm going to get flack someday, the pick me mentality. I'll tell you how to lose weight. I'll tell you how to live right. I'll tell you what Jesus said. I'll tell you how to make the most money. I'll tell you what's in fashion. I'll tell you how fast to go. Oh, wait. Maybe that one isn't in there. Maybe it is. But why is it that marketing is centered on telling you how to think about things? It's a weird way to look at marketing, right? It's no more than we're right and we're going to give you truth so you can be part of that truth. That's marketing. That's business if you look at it in a weird way. Because no matter what, business is centered on money, correct? Money doesn't exist, does it? It's paper tree. It's not even backed by anything. We have digital currency now. It has no, we can exchange paper money for it because it doesn't mean anything more than computer code. But this idea, right? Does anybody else notice this? It's like you have to think this way or feel this way, or you must be broken. Anybody ever notice that? I was just curious. I thought that was a good talking point to have about it. Hope at some point there'll be some comments on this because I keep seeing this pattern. Patterns are my favorite. I like patterns. Patterns are how I look at the world. The correlation of events that led up to or is leading a continual whatever, do the same action over and over again, you get the same results. Right? Patterns. And this idea that as a human being, how I look or how I dress or how I talk or how I act determines whether or not I'm a good or a bad human being. We can agree to this, right? I think. But how come owning things is how you become a good human being? Now, listen, you guys are gonna love this. I watched this random clip. I don't know who made it, but it was like listening to myself talk from someone else. They made a video game clip, right? And everybody was acting negative, and the more shit you stole and killed and pillaged, it was like Grand Theft Auto. You leveled up, level 137, right? And then this guy shows up. He's at level 1. He meets another player, and they're like, well, you just got to do all this killing and looting, and the more cool shit you got, you get levels from that. And he goes, oh, really? And it was a violent video game. Something, I don't even know the pretext of it. I can't really explain it to you, but like, he was like, well, what if I don't want to kill and loot and hurt people? Well, how are you going to level up? So he goes outside. Someone gets lit on fire. He puts it out with a bucket. When he puts it out with a bucket, he gets a level, a whole level. Usually it takes a bunch of grinding to get a level being negative. But he gets all the way to level 2 as a player character for doing one nice thing. And so then it goes this bleep where he's like on the news and he's like leveling up faster than anyone's ever seen before, ever. And all he's doing is going around in the violent, crazy video game and doing nice shit for people. Creating his own quests and his own side quests in the interactive video game, and the video game is rewarding him at a rate of like 10-1 on leveling up in the video game based on good to bad ratio. I want to play this video game so bad. A morality video game. Can you imagine? You got rewarded for morality and for having morals and values and sense of purpose and like pride and self-respect, and like, can you imagine if by leveling those stats up you actually leveled up faster? It's a weird way if you apply the stupid blip that I saw to real life. It'd be really weird, right? So anyway, I was just thinking about that. I thought I'd throw that out there. It's a pretty good talking point. I'm sure someone wants to pick it apart and yell at it and whatever else. It's fine. But it's just a weird pattern that I saw. You know? Really weird. All right, so on to the second talking point. I think this one's really, really, really important. Is anybody satisfied with the current laws that we have in America? I don't feel safe. I don't mean like I'm really scared or anything, but like I'm worried that things could go south a little bit. And I'm personally dealing with a situation right now in a court of law, in the civil courts. Does anybody know anything about civil courts? Oh, I need a civil lawyer. Oh man. But like the way that it's structured, something's got to give. I think that kids need two parents. I believe that. Positive role models, sober role models, well put together people that are trying to not at least past the pain of what they experience. As a parent, you have lots of trauma, but you can just go like this, put all the trauma on your back and use it to shield your kid from any of that trauma, right? Like, that these things could hurt the kid because you went through it, so you don't let them experience that. It's the best we can do as parents, right? And we can educate ourselves and learn about more experiences and have a broader spectrum of things that can hurt a child. And that I encourage that as well, right? Like, education is key, especially on raising kids that are going to become adults that are going to be the future, and how's it going to look, like that really matters a lot. Look at our world right now, it matters. So why is it that a regular citizen just can't go in and write a bill up and not have money? Like, we shouldn't have money, shouldn't be a mechanism of law. In no way, shape, or form should be justice and money connected together in any way, shape, or form. I don't believe that. I think the two together lead to a lack of justice for the very people that laws are written to protect. And I don't say burn the world down or fuck the government or none of that. But why has it been set up that the laws that aren't for the people can't be easily and readily disposed of with honest conversation about the ramifications of what's actually happening instead of what a lobbyist says based on their perception of how much money they can make? Politics and money also shouldn't go together. I bet if you told people that ran for Congress and Senate and the presidency and everything else, okay, so you're getting 40,000 a year, and since you went for this office, from now on you'll always get 40,000 a year. But if you have a dime more than that, we're gonna know that you have something to do. And so, like, if you really think that office is important enough and keeping everybody together and having good laws and it benefiting everybody, if if you don't mind the fact that you have to give up having any more than $40,000 a year for the rest of your life, or you go to jail, but as long as you're willing to accept that 40,000 a year, not a dime more, and you stay a civil servant forever until you die from it, I think we drain the swamp, as it were. No Trump pun intended. I don't think it has anything to do with politics. I think it has to do with money. And I think if you take money out of laws and you take money out of politics, all of a sudden they fix themselves really quickly. If it's easy for someone to say, hey, this is affecting negatively the whole, and we need to fix this now, and it doesn't cost any money to do it, it just takes a vote of people becoming aware of it and having a conversation and seeing if it needs to be fixed based on the circumstance, and then going to a court of law and having judges sit down as a panel and discuss it and figure it out and be able to trust those judges that only get $40,000 a year for the rest of their life. And if we catch them lying once, they're fired. one time. It's not a general collective knowledge. If they're not highly, highly educated, they're fired. One time's all it takes. I think the people that we'd have in these positions that were making the laws and that were dictating policy to the general population, I think it'd be more hand in hand. I think it'd be more in tune. I think it's possible to change any system once you diagnose it as failing by simply changing it. And the mechanism to change it, they figured out how to stop the gears. That's what I think about the current laws that are in America, especially in a civil court. And I don't know what you think about it, but I think maybe if you want to tune in about it, you're more than welcome to, because I'd love to hear it. I think it's important that we talk about it. I think it's a topic of discussion that if enough people spoke on, well, we could get this amended and get this going. And you might think that I'm like, optimistic, but I am. I am. You can say the glass is half empty or a quarter empty, but I'm going to say to you, whenever I'm thirsty, there's still water in the cup. I don't give a shit if there's only a drink left. There's still always a drink left, and you know it, and I know it. So you can't say the glass is empty, and you can say the glass is half empty as much as you want. But the idea that we could just change things because we want to, because we're in charge of everything, there's more of us than there are rules. There's enough intelligent people. What about an intelligent mob? What if we just got all the people that got an IQ of a certain level and they all mobbed together with pitchforks and statistics and data and just went in and fixed it? Is that wrong of me to think like that? To want intelligent people to fix the situation based on compassion and understanding, which kind of goes hand in hand with intelligent people, unless it's like, those mad scientists. They don't mind because they don't matter. But this idea, what do you think about it? Last and not least, the one thing I want to talk about, I think this is really important, is what the fuck did you think of those last videos? What'd you think about me building that big of an idea, which obviously I've thought about and lived for quite some time? It's not like you just thought about this and came up with it and made some content in the hopes of going famous. Like, these aren't subjects that get you notoriety or clout or viewers or money. But what'd you think? I want your honest opinion. I didn't want to ask until I'd finished creating it. It's not going to be the last creation. We're already on to a new creation. And from this creation, we'll be born multiple other creations. And I'm going to have a lot of fun. It's not all digital. I do a lot of things that aren't digital. I meditate way more than I do digital. I don't know when meditation became not the simple form of free thought, but free will is a daily meditation that you live through. Choosing, you know? It's like meditation and it's philosophy and it's life lessons and it's a buffer zone and like it's being able to see differently and think differently and act differently if you so choose. What'd you think? What'd you think? I already know what the people that hate me thought. It scared them. They slipped up. I'm 100% assured of that. Just as I'm 100% assured that I have haters. I've caught 2 stalkers over the years, so the idea that I don't have more stalkers is ludicrous. It's just a recurring pattern. It happens when you're unwilling to bend to societal standards. You get noticed, and usually by people that hate people that look like me. And the universe tattooed my face. This is our universe, all the planets. I know it's a little faded, it's because it's so old. Just because I look like this, I must not be who I say I am. If you have a face tattoo, you understand this analogy. And if not, it's okay. And I don't wish you to, suddenly jump on board and figure it out for yourself. It's not the funnest lesson to learn, but humility is needed in a world where glamour is the truth. I made all those videos for a lot of different reasons. And I really feel like what I started out to do, I got done. I really do. I'm really proud of it. I'm not afraid to like, someone's like, hey, you got, yeah, well, watch my videos. Shared them with a couple of people, that I know personally. They're kind of used to my shenanigans, so it's going to hit them less. And anybody that's watched them that actually knows me, they get it. They understand. A lot of people know me. It's a small world where I'm from. And not my hometown, just the people I associated with my whole life. So, what'd you think about the way I ramble and then suddenly make sense, and the way that I use parables to make a point, and all the connections that I made? I did the very best I could do using the parameters of the social experiment I put forth to get as much data as I could possibly collect on the end result. Did you know that I made, what was it, 76 videos or something on free will, and I had one comment over 30 hours of me talking. 35 hours of me talking. One person made one negative comment about my face tattoo. One. We're almost at 700 views on this page. So that's why I ask. Everybody forgot to respond. That's why we're taking this in a different direction. I'm looking for response. The idea that people are still watching my videos and no one's talking, does that mean I'm losing? Does that mean I'm winning? I don't know. But I'm really glad I made this video, and I'm really glad we pivoted together. I didn't want to leave you behind because I'm headed in some new directions. It's a new year. So I use that as, that pre-made excuses why I better get my ass in gear and do some more things, since now I got some new things figured out. And that brings me to my last topic of conversation for this video. Where are you guys going in the future? I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. It's going to blow your mind. You're going to be like, what the fuck? All right, so I've decided that everything's going to electronics. And not like I waved the wand and pushed the buttons and made it that way, but it's headed there. And space is a big part of this. All right? So, I'm going to start an LLC. I'm going to get me some CNC machines. And I'm going to start making fucking parts for rockets. Something simple like a bolt or something that needs a special alloy. So I'll have to, mix the alloys to get the right. I got to figure it out. Always been a builder. I literally go to a certain city. The high rise I beams, the giant ones, fucking 2-ton ones. I welded some of those together. You're welcome. I've done some other building things in my life too. I've been some places. Always been a construction guy. Tell my back gave out on me. Someday, some human's going to be able to say that on one of the rocket ships, somewhere, I made a bolt and went to outer space. Or a lug nut. You know? Figured out some cheap way to make copper work better. I don't know. But I've decided to take and make a factory for industrial use so I can start manufacturing parts of some kind. Automate the shit out of all of it. It can already be done, so I'm going to do it. It just takes money. So, done a lot of things in my life, but I never built something that went to outer space before. There's probably laws around me being able to access the things, allow me to make my own rocket, being a multi-felon. However, I could definitely pre-make bolts. And flow valves for ship engines. Once I can get enough money to get a CNC machine big enough to be able to make something like that. Not 3D printers, ladies and gentlemen. A laser cutting robot that cuts at exactly the specifications that you need it. And a forge to be able to make the alloys that you need to be able to make the things that you want. So there's my 4 topics. This is what I hit you with today. That's all I got. I had a bunch more, that's a lie. But that was it for today because I'm done. And I really appreciate you tuning in. And I hope I hear from at least one of you someday. And that's it, I think. I don't know. I need to come up with some kind of catchy way to end these, don't I? Need like some theme music for the beginning, a little starter video. Nah, that ain't me.